Hello everyone, I am the storyteller, and tonight I am here just to help you relax, to drift off to sleep by the sound of the waves, like the whispers of old souls. I know you have come to this video not just to hear the story, but also to find a deep, peaceful sleep. But before we begin, please gently like the video and subscribe to the channel so I can continue to tell you strange stories under the dim moonlight. Where are you from? And what time is it where you live? Just relax. Let your body relax. Put all your worries down by your pillow. Let me take you into a world of mysteries where the wind and the waves mingle, and unsolved mysteries are waiting to be told. Are you ready? Blow your head off. Caution. Based on true story. Contains gore. It's all fun and games until you blow your head off. Before the 1960s, before I made this my home, our lovely town was known for stately elm trees canopying the main street north of the river. But a deadly elm tree disease raged through, infecting them all. The ones not killed quickly succumbed to progress, as the street was widened to 4 lanes instead of 2 for the thoroughfare through town. The Men's Garden Club decided to beautify the landscape by planting a few flowers. That project soon turned into lovely, bright pink petunias lining all the main highways in the city. When my dad took a job at the local mental health asylum before he moved the rest of us here, I remember him sending us a postcard showing the streets lined with petunias sweeping under the memorial arch, with the name of the town emblazoned upon it. Another landmark of the town. When our family arrived, that was the first sight I saw of our new home. As the plantings increased, a petition was made to the state, and soon the community of 15,000 was dubbed the Petunia City. In a short time, an annual celebration was created to honor the designation, called the Petunia Festival, held around the 4th of July. The festival midway games and rides, along with arts and craft or car shows, bingo, and a beer garden with live bands, attracted huge crowds from all over. It even became renowned enough that a popular game show in the early 70s, The Dating Game, presented a trip to the Petunia Festival as the grand prize to the winning couple. Welcomed as dignitaries, the excited couple became the grand marshals of the parade that year. I'm sure the experience made a lasting impression on them. The party always ended with a spectacular fireworks display, locally provided by a certified trained family who volunteered their services. In my teenage years, in a town without a lot to do other than cruising Galena Avenue from Peoria Avenue to the south, to Lowell Park Road, to the north, back and forth, not counting stopping to sit at the courthouse corner to wave at other cruisers. The 4th of July Petunia Festival was the highlight of the summer. Lots of fun and games. Walking the midway hand in hand with someone special. Hawkers trying to get him to win you a prize. stealing a kiss on top of the Ferris wheel, eating elephant ears and corn dogs, feeling nauseous after the spinning rides, participating in the talent contest, dancing to the music, watching the marching bands compete. In my very young motherhood years, it was a struggle to get all my children downtown, at least for the fireworks. This particular year stands out in my memory. My husband was a police officer on a small police force, overstressed as the population exploded on those few days. He was not available to help much with the family. We may have taken the little ones to Kids' Day for a short time to ride the kiddie rides. The carnival company often comped the force a few free coupons, and I may have gotten my younger sister to walk the few blocks from my parents' house to the parade route alongside me with the stroller, and the other two in tow. What little ones don't love a parade? But for the fireworks, I was on my own. Anyway, I don't remember planning to go with anyone else. My high school sweetheart husband and I had 4 kids in 5 years, back in the early 70s. I believe their ages at the time must have been 4, 2, and I was expecting my bicentennial baby. Exactly why I thought it was even necessary to attend those sparklers on my own with all those babes. In my condition, I'll never know. The festival is held on the high school grounds along the river. A lovely setting for the fireworks, reflecting over the river. Trouble is, there aren't any parking lots close by, which means street parking wherever and however close you can get. The viewing is great if you can get to standing room only on the bridge. Otherwise, it is, well, up in the air. Hard to tell until the blossoms start exactly where you can see them from, due to trees blocking most displays. Over the years, one thinks they have it figured out. Then the organizers suddenly decide to change the venue. Starting point. I cannot tell you how many different viewing spots we have selected or rejected. Anyway, back to my waddling all over town stroller and 2 cranky, tired toddlers in tow. Nice grassy spot at end of bridge, big enough for blanket and maybe a shot at seeing something. Hope the noise isn't too scary for my tots. For some reason, I am remembering when I was little, I never wanted to get too close, for fear a spark might land on me. Anytime I saw someone in a wheelchair, I wondered if that is what happened to them. Hello, Mary. So nice to see you. My musing was interrupted by a somewhat familiar voice. Oh, great. My old boyfriend. Wouldn't you know, haven't seen him for years. And he finds me looking oh so fine. Hi, Joe. Great to see you too. You remember Maureen, right? Her family moved into the old Victorian farmhouse you used to live in. We got married. We are expecting our first baby. Looks like you have another on the way. Are all of these yours? Can never have too many. Congratulations to both of you. They have a way of changing your life, but in a good way. Well, enjoy the show, and best of luck to you. And to you, too. Ah, the booms have started. Thank goodness. My little troop actually were enjoying the action. Even with all the noise and commotion around us, seemed it was ramping up. Then suddenly, it all went silent. There was an extremely long pause, way longer than I ever remember, between starbursts. The crowd noticed and seemed to get fidgety and restless. That display was far shorter than usual, and there was no grand finale when they send up multiples at one time. Were they that short on funds this year? Sometimes they would send out donation seekers to pay for next year's display. No one had been around to our corner yet, and the time dragged on and on. Suddenly, you could hear the wails of ambulances. Oh no! Something bad must have happened. They are headed to the area the fireworks are detonated. That is not good. Not good at all. There was mumbling among the crowd. It was obvious the show was over for the night, and people started drifting away, scratching their heads and wondering why. I gathered my crew, and we started our trek back to our vehicle. My husband knew, and it wasn't good. The young man in charge of lighting off the display had a problem with one tube. No one present actually saw the moment it happened, but he must have been leaning over the faulty tube, looking for the problem, when it exploded in his face, decapitating him. All the witnesses could immediately see was him engulfed in smoke. I didn't know it at the time, but this man lived in our neighborhood. His 2 children went to school with my children. His widow never did remarry and passed away a few years ago. She was a very strong woman to survive what she did and raise her children on her own. The tragedy was also devastating to the Petunia Festival. The Paul pulled the fireworks off the agenda for years afterwards. The event will turn 60 years old this summer. Yes, it is all fun and games until someone blows his head off. There were way too many flies for an empty house. Schizophrenia is a bitch, and I don't usually curse when I'm writing. I like the classic style of Stephen Crane and the refined worlds of Oscar Wilde, and I know things have changed a lot since this kind of gentleman went extinct. But still, there is something about correct writing that turns everything into poetry. Even these stories. I continue now. Schizophrenia is a bitch. Medicated or unmedicated. Dealing with not knowing what is real or not can still be challenging day by day. From the happy little bunnies hopping out of an unexistent hole to say hi graciously and brighten your day, to the 4-eyed woman whose face was falling rotten into pieces in front of my astonished eyes, while she only wanted to offer my breakfast one autumn morning. Anything can be frightening. I thought I was never going to have the courage to move far from the city, far from the hospitals, from the gentrification, and the everyday influx of strangers. It made me calm to know I could just pop out a card from my pocket that shows my mental condition, and people would help me in the most scary situations. Reality pushed me outside of the city. I found the best house to which I could move. Affordable, 2 stories, old cracking wooden floors, unfinished basement, and a big yard with space to grow your vegetables, your very own lavender plants, with the freedom to sit outside and write while listening to nothing but the chickadees and robins singing. No neighbors, no annoying neighbors, because as much as I liked the activity of the city, living in a 24 floors building could be a tiny bit too noisy sometimes. A 100-year-old house that needed some love. Honestly, for the price I paid, I had all the love in the world to give. I didn't overthink before buying it. I didn't want to get into details, so I put the signature on the paper and bought it as it was. The first night was a nightmare. The mice activity was so high in the basements and between the walls that it looked like they were throwing me a welcoming party. My eyes were wide open, and I kept just thinking, I need a cat. I need a cat. I need to get a cat. I didn't challenge my judgment or how factual the existence of mice in a house this old would be. I could smell the mice, their nests, their filth, their spawns. And if there is something I rarely get in life, it's olfactory illumination, also called phantom smells. I didn't dare tell any of my family members about the nightmare because I had been told many times that moving out of the city was not for everyone. I didn't want to worry my mom. She tried to persuade me to move in with her, inviting me to stay more than once, offering me homemade food, and promising me peace and clean laundry. I spent the night the best I could, turning from one side to the other, trying to get comfortable and used to every noise. I woke up the morning after with a horrible headache when I moved the curtains in the bedroom to let the sunlight in. I saw at least 30 flies, scattered, sunbathing, flapping their wings against one of the windows, and I jumped back to my bed in disgust. I had my phone fully charged and used one of my favorite methods to discover if my mind was playing games or not. I took a picture of the flies. You see, when you have schizophrenia, if you take a picture or make a video at the precise moment that you see the craziest things, you can actually check on your phone if what you are seeing is real. The mind evolved to be tricky and a vile traitor sometimes. Still, it didn't evolve as much as not to be tricked by a cell phone camera. So the hallucination you are having, if it's just a mere creation of the mind, will not appear either in the video or in a picture. The flies were there, way too many for a house that had its windows closed for the past few weeks. There was a family there before. I don't think this was normal, even for a country house. It wasn't even summer. The weather didn't look inviting for flies, and my house was not a warm place for them to live happily in. I opened the 4 curtains individually to reveal the flies blackening each window. I sprayed them and saw them fall one by one. I vacuumed the remains and moved to the bathroom for a relaxing bath. Relaxing was something that I wouldn't do for a while. I opened the faucet, and the bubbling sound of dry pipes came first, letting a little string of water fall that looked horribly yellow. By the time my bathtub was full, all I had was pea-colored water that smelled like sulfur, and it made me lose the last drop of hope I had that morning. I walked downstairs to the basement. I had been in a basement twice in my life, and one of those times was when I had to check the new house with the realtor a few weeks before moving. I wouldn't say I liked basements. The swamp smell, the spiders, the spider webs that were abandoned, meaning the spiders are now somewhere else where we can't see them. The mice, their horrible smell, and the furnace, the root of significant nightmares that come from old stories and many, many horror movies that I wish I hadn't seen. I took a gun with me. I know I shouldn't have had one, but my dad, who didn't know better, advised me to take his gun since being alone in a house can be challenging for a woman. My nearest neighbor was 2 miles away, but so was a police station, so I thought it was an okay idea. This time, I had to use it. It was loaded and ready to shoot some cans outside in case my days turned more boring. When I reached the bottom of the stairs, I heard noises coming from the water well. Something was struggling to get out. The well was a little bit deep, but still, anyone my size could have gotten out of there. I thought, well, great. Now I will have to shut a wild animal, because there is no way I will let an upset possum or rabid raccoon roam my basement. I cautiously approached the water well. The noise grew louder and more frantic. My heart pounded in my chest as I gripped my gun tightly, ready to defend myself. With each step closer, the sounds became clearer, and I could hear muffled cries for help. I peered into the darkness, straining my eyes to make sense of shapes. And then, as if emerging from my nightmares, there she was, tied, her clothes torn and covered in filth, her hair tangled, wounded on every inch of her body, her mouth shut, her hands firmly fastened. Her teary eyes called for help, but all I could do was just shoot. I pressed the trigger 1 time, 2, and even 3 times, with my eyes shut and my teeth grinding as hard as I could as she lay there, motionless and calm. I took my phone out of my pocket and did what I should have done before shooting. I took a picture and put myself in the frame, too. The dead body in the background, the dirty well, and me hoping none of it was real. Hoping I wasn't real. I took a picture, and there we were. The flash blinded my eyes, and I saw myself, a newborn killer, staring at the screen. She was still there. Oh, so still. Oh, there were too many flies for an empty house, and without wanting it, I finished someone else's dirty job. Gorifans, Mummy and Daddy, left me. They went away and left me on my own, in this scary place with sharp and spiky stones that stab my feet. I don't want to cry on this beach, if it is a beach, because the only sound is that of pebbles crunching beneath my toes, and my voice sounds weird, like an echo. There's nothing to see except the wispy gray fog that folds around me. It feels like I'm by the sea because of the stones and that disgusting, salty smell. But I can't hear any waves or people splashing. If it is the seaside, a boring seaside with a stony beach, I don't know how I got here. I remember being with Mummy and Daddy. We went for a picnic and stopped at the toy store. Daddy bought me a brand new cat plush, Miss Mittens. At least she's here to keep me company. If I didn't have her, I think I would really cry, not because of the stones, or the fog, or the smell, but because Mummy and Daddy left me. Why would they bring me here? Why would they go home without me? When are they coming back? I don't understand. The next day, Mummy and Daddy left me, and I don't know where they are. I'm crying now, because I've been lost on this beach for so long. And when I see the woman float out of the fog with a smile and a big fluffy blanket, I know she'll help. I know, Tilly. I'm sorry I'm late. It took me some time to locate you. How do you know my name? I ask the woman as she bundles me in her blanket. I've been in my night dress on this seaside with no sea, and the fog has been getting frosty, so it's nice to be wrapped in something warm. Did Mummy and Daddy send you? Not exactly, Tilly. Mummy and Daddy are sorry they couldn't get to you themselves, but I'm here now, and I'll take care of you. Come along. Let's get you someplace safe. Home? My home, Tilly. For a while. Don't worry. There are other girls like you there. I'm sure you'll make friends. And you can rest while we figure this out. The woman in the old-fashioned dress that has lacy trim around the collar puts her arm around me, and we start to walk back the way she came, stones crunching and crumbling beneath her fancy boots and my frozen toes. I have lots of questions, but I don't know which to ask first, so I say nothing and think about what she said. New home? Other girls? Figure this out? My face feels funny, I say, and my eyelids grow heavy. Your face is beautiful, the woman answers, but I don't reply. Another day, Mummy and Daddy left me, and the house went on fire. That's what Mabel Montgomery is trying to say, in a roundabout way, like I'm a baby. But I know she's wrong. There's no way Mummy and Daddy would leave me alone. And there's no way our house would go on fire because it's a new house with fire alarms and everything. And there's no way I died because I'm sitting in an armchair in an office wearing a stiff blue dress that was laid out for me when I woke up, in a bed with tall posts and a lace canopy. I don't know why she's doing this. I thought she was nice when she brought me here, to this mansion with dozens of rooms and maids and girls. But now I think she might be trying to kidnap me. Maybe she did that to the others. I haven't had a chance to talk to anyone yet, because I just got up today after sleeping for a really long time. But sleeping for a long time is not the same as dying. I know it's hard, the woman with the silver hair says. You need time, but I'm here for you. We will work together to get you through this. And then, when you're ready, we'll find someone nice to take care of you. She places a hand on my shoulder and smiles, but I don't trust her. Not anymore, because it's a lie. This manor, the beach, the fog, a lie or a dream or a nightmare. What else can explain the face staring back at me from the mirror as Mabel leads me from her office? The horrible, burnt face of a monster that couldn't be me, because I didn't die in a fire. Yet another day. You're Tilly, right? I'm Jessica. I hope you're doing okay. I know it's a lot to take in, finding yourself here. I know it hurts. A lot. But you'll survive. It's easy for her to say. The teenager in the dress that's the same style as mine, except green. Her face isn't scarred and disgusting. Her hands aren't marbled and shiny. She has long blonde hair like I did. She's pretty. I heard what happened. It must have been so scary. I know how scared I was when I was drowning, but I can't imagine what it must have been like, too. She tries to be brave and look at my face while she talks, but the look of pity in her eyes is worse than the look of disgust I see in others, and I hate it. I don't remember, all right? Can you go away? I want to be on my own. Sure. I just thought you might want to talk. I know it isn't easy coming to terms with things. We've all been through it. You'll see a lot of girls like you, keeping to themselves. You'll see girls with injuries and wounds they're not ready to let go of. You'll see others like me. But none of us had it easy. So take your time. It will get better, I promise. I said, leave me alone. I surprise myself by shouting. I hop up from the window seat, abandoning my view of the fog, and push the girl away before storming across the polished wooden floorboards and racing up the staircase to the bedrooms. Bedrooms occupied by girls, aged 6 to 18. Girls I don't want to talk to. Girls I can't even look at. Some of them have missing limbs, Some of them have cuts and horrible wounds. Some of them have holes. But the hardest ones to look at are the ones like Jessica, who look complete, like nothing happened because my body is burnt and olay from a fire, and it's not fair. The 5th day, or more. Hey, I'm Carly. Seen you around, but figured you wouldn't want to talk yet. Enjoying Miss Mabel Montgomery's orphanage for late lamented lassies? Or, as I call it, the gorphanage. If you're lonely, you can move in with me. I won't bug you about adapting, and I don't want to know your tragic past. I have a spare bunk since my friend Delilah sold out and got adopted. The traitor. I've seen this girl around too, sulking and being mean to the maids. She's another damaged girl, like me. She has a gash on her neck, one that seems to laugh as she speaks, and purple bruises on her legs and arms, which are visible because she isn't wearing a dress. She's got jeans shorts on and a t-shirt with a picture of Taylor Swift, both of them covered in reddish-brown stains. I guess that's what she was wearing when she got here. I wish I'd kept my night dress and hadn't sold out. Maybe, I reply, which is a surprise. I haven't spoken to anyone in days, though plenty have tried to talk to me. Mabel, the maids, various girls, mostly the complete ones, though some of the gruesome ones too. I wasn't in the mood, but there's something about this freckle-faced girl with the ponytail and chipped front tooth that makes me feel comfortable. Have you been here long? Long enough to know how to get on Miss Mabel's tits and how to scare the shit out of the ghost mothers. Want to come to my room? We can hatch some devious plans. Carly is about my age, but she uses lots of grown-up words, and it makes me nervous, but also excited. I never had a friend like her, and she isn't looking at me funny like the others, even the ones with missing limbs. So I nod and smile for the first time in ages. Leaving my room, I look over the banister down into the foyer of the mansion. Miss Montgomery is there, with Jessica, who hasn't spoken to me since I told her to go away. She's holding the hand of a person I haven't seen before, a tall, pale stick of a woman in a tweed outfit. Miss Montgomery opens the door, and wisps of fog sneak in as Jessica looks up and waves. I don't wave back. I see the skinny woman follow Jessica's gaze and gasp as her eyes fall on me. Shocked by my appearance, I stick my tongue out and waggle my hands alongside my crusty face, then hurry after Carly, avoiding Mabel's disappointed look. A later day, Mabel tells me Carly is a rebellious girl who's struggling to accept her own passing, so it would be better if I talked to someone else, so I can process and come to terms. Well, what if I don't want to process how my parents left me to die? What if I don't want to come to terms with being burnt alive and looking like a monster? Carly says, I don't have to. Carly says, I can wear my scars like a badge of honor. And if Mabel and her maids and the ghost mothers who come to replace the kids they left behind in the real world don't like it, then tough. Mothers who leave their children are the worst, even if they do it by dying. Why would I want a new mother anyway? A dead one? They don't care about me. They can't even look at me. Every time one visits, I see how they turn away from me and Carly, and Lucinda, and Selena, and Flare. Because we're ugly, burnt or cut, or missing important pieces. We're Gorefans, and nobody wants a Gorefan, even if they might say they do. Fake smiles, telling me I'm beautiful, telling me my soul is beautiful. I don't give a shit about my soul. I want my face. That's why it's fun when Carly tricks them, waits till they get close, then spurts a fountain of blood from the gash on her neck. So funny seeing them jump. That's why I let her teach me how to summon my own death echo, so I can scare the shit out of ghost mothers by bursting into flames. It gets rid of them pretty fast, and it gets on Miss Montgomery's tits, and I get to spend more time with the Gorefans, the ones that didn't sell out, like Bambi, who took the rope marks off her neck the other day and went away. A traitor, but she'll see. When she gets abandoned again, she'll see it's a waste of time trusting a mother. A bad day. Carly isn't talking. I think she's depressed. Mabel brought a bunch of ghost mothers to the Gorefenage the other day and assembled us girls to be inspected. Not that she used that word. She said there had been an influx of parents to the beach due to a global pandemic, and it was an opportunity to place a few girls. But Carly said we were just being inspected, and of course, it was only girls with no obvious injuries who got adopted. Sure, a few mothers tried to talk to me and pretended they didn't notice my scars, but I knew they were just trying to make me feel better. Why would they pick me when they could have a complete? Why would they want a girl with a face like burnt toast? Carly lost it after the 4th or 5th mother tried to hug her. She threw her head back and sprayed the biggest fountain of blood I've ever seen. It went everywhere, all over the mothers and the girls and Mabel and the maids and the floor. I didn't think it was ever going to stop. I couldn't stop laughing. Mabel had to send the mothers away, and that's when stupid Lila pushed Carly, telling her she was a selfish a-hole for ruining things for everyone else. How dare she? Why is it okay for completes to get adopted, but not Gorefans? That's not fair. I told Carly that, but she was upset and didn't want to talk. She went to the window seat to stare into the fog. She's been there for days, and I miss her. I'm lonely again. I hate it. I want to go home. The worst day. Carly's missing. Have you seen her? Carly is gone from the window seat. I checked everywhere. The kitchen, the pantry, Lucinda and Flair's rooms, the lounge. But I can't find her, and nobody knows where she is. So I burst into Mabel's office, even though I'm not supposed to when the door's shut. Mabel is behind her desk, talking to a woman and girl who have their backs to me. A woman in jeans and a jumper, and a girl with long brown hair in an ivory dress with lace trim. One of Mabel's dresses, though I haven't seen it before. Tilly, I'm busy. Can you go to your room and wait? I'll talk to you when I finish here. The way she says it makes me think she knows something. I hesitate because I want to know what it is now. But the mother starts to turn, and I don't want to be looked at with disgust, so I back out of the room. Until the girl in the ivory dress turns, and I recognize her freckles and chipped tooth. With her hair down, and without her wound, Carly looks like a different person. A nice girl. A pretty girl. Complete. Tilly, she says, slumping her shoulders. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I don't want to hear it. She's a sellout. A traitor. Like Delilah and Bambi and Selena. Another one who's going to leave me. And this time, I can't stop my tears. It was my time, and I slam the office door shut and run upstairs. Day, whatever. Mabel talks and talks, but I don't hear. Ghost mothers visit, but I stay in bed. Flair and Lucinda try to cheer me up with their death echoes. Flair pops off her head and juggles with it, while Lucinda pulls out her guts and ties them in the shape of a dog. I don't care. Mummy and Daddy left me. Carly left me. Even Miss Mittens disappeared. Why does nobody want me? Why do I exist? I want to die, but I'm already dead. I'm dead. I am dead. A much later day. No, I don't want to stay here. I want to go home. Miss Montgomery's door slams back against the wall, startling me from my fog watching and bringing my eyes to the 6 or 7-year-old girl who runs from the office to the large double doors of the manor. I want my mom. Let me out. 2 maids intercept the girl, whose long blonde hair is bloody and matted around a hole in her head that shows her brain, whose dungarees and shirt are torn and stained. Go away. Don't touch me. Mabel is in her doorway, arms crossed, watching. Just another day at the office. Where's my mom? What did you do to her? The girl lashes out and knocks a vase off a tall wooden table. Leave me alone. The girl pushes a maid away roughly. Where's my mom? I want her. The girl escapes the second maid, not looking where she's going, runs into me before I can step aside. She looks up, angry, spittle flying from her lips. When she sees I'm just a girl, her expression changes. Have you seen my mom? Do you live here? Fear on her face now, terror in her eyes. Temporarily? I reply, and drop down on one knee. It's a place to be, while we wait. For what? To go home? Sort of. What's your name? Alice. Okay, Alice. I know you're confused, and it will be hard for you to understand why you're here, but it's a safe place. It's okay to be angry, but you can make friends, and those friends will help you come to terms with shut up, the fear gone, the anger back. She thinks I'm another of them because I sound like Mabel. Mom, where are you? She breaks away from me, runs to the staircase and up. The other girls standing at the top, drawn by the commotion. She sees Lucinda and Rebecca with her face of glass shards and screams, drops to the floor, covers her head. A maid secures her, bundles her up, and carries her crying the rest of the way to a room. A bed, a dress. I realize Alice looked me in the eye when I was talking. She didn't flinch or try to get away. I stand and take a step to a wall-mounted mirror. There, staring back at me, is Tilly. Scars remain, but not as monstrous as before. My arms and hands remain pink and shiny, but I recognize myself. In the reflection, Mabel smiles as she closes her door. I still have a long way to go, but maybe, like Jessica said, I will survive, and so will Alice. An emerald deal. This is unbelievable, Francis exclaimed as he held my self-portrait in his hands. It looks just like you. Francis Frankie Cullens is my best friend, and he holds in his hands what I hoped to be the beginning of my illustrious career as an artist. I smile at him, a humble, gentle smile, as I contain the bubbling anxiety within the pit of my stomach. Do you really think so? I asked, in what I hoped to be a tone that indicated only mild curiosity, and not that of a child seeking validation. Frankie looked from the painting and up to me with blazed excitement in his eyes. This is no joke, Mort. What I have in my hands here is pure, uncut talent. He lightly shook the painting in his hands as he said so, but abruptly stopped when he realized he was doing so, as if worrying he could ruin it. As a matter of fact, Frankie continued, I'd like to post this on your page and talk about the process of how you painted this, if you're all right with that. Honestly, I was taken aback by this offer. What, like, you want to be my manager or something? I sarcastically asked him this as I chuckled, but Frankie's face remained sincere. His response to me felt so genuine, so lacking in the raillery I expected, that it took me some time to register it. Why not? I've always believed in your work, Mort, even when no one else did. But with this, he trailed off as he looked back down at my painting. Finally, he continued, This was seriously all freehand? I nodded. Yes, it really was. But, Frankie, would you really want to be my manager? I don't even know what that job would involve. He waved his hand dismissively at me and smirked. Exactly why you need one. Let me handle all the details. But this, you just need to worry about making more of this." His smirk had grown into a wide grin as his eyes welled with moisturized droplets. I was stupefied at my friend's eagerness to want to work for me after seeing this latest piece of my work. I knew, of course, that this painting, and all others that followed, would be different. But to have this sort of hypnotic effect was entirely unexpected. "Yeah, okay," I hesitantly agreed. "Go ahead and post it, then." Frankie's eyes widened in a somewhat disturbing display of ecstasy. "Perfect. I'll get on that right now, and you do what you gotta do for your process, and you get another painting out. ASAP. I promise you, Mort, this is going to be huge." Before I could even open my mouth to respond, Frankie had already darted out of my studio, which was just my room in our shared apartment, and into his room across the hall as I heard his door slam behind him in an eager swing. I stood silently amidst the canvases on easels, which all displayed different degrees of blankness to what had the appearance of being worked on for several minutes of brush strokes, then forgotten. They stood around the room in a way that formed a labyrinth to the bed, one which only I knew the right way through. I looked at all of these unfinished and unbegun paintings and vowed they would not stay this way for long. Things were different now. I got most of the way through a new painting I was working on. I believe I will title Green Singers, when I noticed I was at it for almost 10 hours straight. No food, water, or bathroom breaks. I got myself into bed. I lay there for an unknowable amount of time as sleep eluded me, and I found myself thinking back to a conversation I'd had with an alluring stranger. It was last week, on a Thursday, when I was at my favorite art exhibition in town, which thankfully had a small coffee shop near the entrance. As I sipped at my caramel macchiato, I was scrolling through the reactions, or lack thereof, one of my paintings received. It had been posted for approximately 72 hours and had garnered 7 likes, while most of the comments were uninspired at best and rude at worst. One of them even said something along the lines of, "This is motel art at best. You look too scared to put any real expression into your work. Don't quit your day job for this. Hope this helps." What the hell was that even supposed to mean? I dropped my phone on the table in such a frustrated way that my coffee trembled and nearly spilled. Not that I cared. I threw my hands over my face and exhaled in an admittedly overdramatic, defeated way. There I buried my face as I gathered myself when I heard someone sit down in the chair across from me. I looked up, expecting to see Frankie. Instead, it was a man who I had never seen before. I recall little from his physical appearance, but I remember he was wearing an expensive-looking suit, and his eyes, those piercing emerald green eyes, with an intense and age sheen, the likes of which I had never seen before. Can I help you? I asked, making sure the irritated tone, hinting at please go away, was noticeable in my inflection. The stranger gave me a smile that was warm and comforting, and I felt my disappointment in myself and the world melt away from my chest. I know it's weird to say, but I instantly felt comfortable with this man here. I'm a fan of your work, he said to me. His voice was velvety and sweet. I wanted to meet you in person, but I have to say, there is room for improvement. Of course, I thought to myself, another critic who thinks they can tell me how to paint. Oh yeah? I said, with the irritation back in force. I took another sip from my coffee. Oh, yes, the man said. But that's not a bad thing. Every great artist knows there is always room for improvement. It's the knowledge that one would never achieve perfection, yet their pursuit for it is endless. I rolled my eyes at him, though I guessed he did have a point. Maybe you're right, and I'm guessing you have the solution for that? This was obviously a rhetorical question, yet the man kept his gaze locked in mine, and he said, "It so happens, I do." What would you say if your paintings would become the epitome of perfection? That through your great works, your name would be immortalized, etched into the framework of history alongside Monet, Van Gogh, Michelangelo, and so many others. I laughed dryly at him. For that, I paused, peering searchingly into my cup of coffee, now at room temperature. For that, I would give everything. That statement came out of me so much more sincerely than I would have expected from myself. Realizing this, I laughed at myself, raised my coffee, and gulped the rest of it down. I was feeling this odd sense of anticipation I could not explain. Like the feeling a kid at a theme park gets when they are near the end of the line for a ride on one of the attractions. The man with the green eyes raised an eyebrow at me as he said, "While I admire the enthusiasm, I wouldn't ask you for everything. If I were to perfect your art, I would ask for very little in return, in fact." Now it was my turn to raise my eyebrows, but in a more incredulous, disbelieving sort of way. "Wait, are you serious right now?" The man said nothing. He only kept that cool, soothing smile. I pressed on. "So, you could make me one of the greatest artists of all time, and you would want, what, my soul? That's what this is, right? Some low-budget Twilight Zone episode where you grant me my biggest dream, and all I give in return is my soul?" Now the man leaned forward in his chair, closer to me. I could smell him now. It was a scent that felt so refreshing as it ignited nostalgic feelings for events of my life that I could not recall ever happening. It soon dawned on me that the feelings of nostalgia his scent gave me were not like smelling freshly mowed grass and remembering a magical summer from childhood. This was a sense of longing for events in my life I had not yet lived. "No, you don't have to worry about that," he said in a reserved timbre. "Despite what certain media would tell you, I don't barter for souls." I considered this, then asked him, "Well, then what do you want from me?" "Two things," he said. "If I immortalize you and your art, I need you to paint something for me. I will tell you what at a time of my choosing. Second, I need you, Jack Mortimer, to say 5 little words to me to endorse our contract." I was practically vibrating in my seat now, with anticipation, as if a colony of butterflies had birthed within me all at once. He didn't need to tell me what those 5 words were that he needed, as I could feel them on the tip of my tongue, ready to burst. I stood up and eagerly reached my hand out to shake his. He did the same. I fervently told him what he needed to hear. "I see you, Mr. Green." 3 months had passed since I painted that self-portrait, which I allowed Frankie to keep. He keeps it proudly hung in his new office, where he works around the clock to get me new exhibits for my paintings. Green Singers had been a phenomenal success, and there had been 12 others so far after. He even got me a spot to talk on the late night show, which, to be fair, didn't seem too hard, as they had reached out to him and practically begged for me to make an appearance. But what I found most astonishing from this whole experience was that the scenes I painted seemed to come to life not long after they were finished. When I painted my hometown with a clearly visible view of the Andromeda Galaxy in the night sky, the next evening, the miraculous anomaly was reported across the states, which led astronomers stumped as to how it had suddenly become so bright to make it so visible to the naked eye. I painted snow in Southern California, and the next day there was a blanket of almost 12 inches in Los Angeles. That's what made it exceptionally convenient when, out of the millions of supporters and admirers across the globe, I discovered one truly bitter, ignorant critic. His name was Elijah Quill, better known by his Reddit username as ELQ69, a truly tasteless name to choose for one such as him. It didn't take long for me to find a picture of him, as people like him are always so self-absorbed that their photos are aplenty and public to pair with their highly opinionated views. But Eli should have thought to be more careful what he does with photos of himself on the internet. After I had memorized his face, his body type, and what style he wears, it was almost too easy to paint his liking as I saw fit. Elijah Quill, in my depiction, was seen in a dark alley somewhere, having been beaten to death. The folds inside his pocket turned out to indicate he had been robbed after the fact. I kept this painting to myself, of course, but couldn't resist the urge to Google the news in the city I found that he lived in. There he was, the egotistical bastard, making the top headline. Good for him. A few days after the oh-so-tragic passing of LQ69, Frankie came to see me. We no longer lived in that small apartment together, as I had found a nice condo in the city. I buzzed him in, and he came in with that adoring, eager grin. That suck-up smile was starting to get on my nerves. "Hey, Mort," he said cheerfully. My God, he's practically skipping towards me, I thought exasperatedly. "Listen, I got a new opening for you downtown, and if you're okay with it, I'm thinking somewhere around 5 we can—" I held a hand to stop him, which he did instantly. "Hang on a second, Frankie. There's something I got to tell you. Something I should have told you a long time ago." He cocked his head to the side as he asked me, "Sure, what's up?" I looked him into those weirdly adoring eyes as he waited. "I'm going to have to let you go, Frankie." The look Frankie gave me was as if I had just kicked a puppy across the room. "Well, what?" he stammered. I blinked and said, "You're fired, Frankie. I'm sorry, but the truth is, I don't need you anymore. You can expect your last check in the mail." Frankie backed away, his legs trembling. His eyes darted about the room in disbelief. "I can't believe this. I thought we was friends, Mort." Tears had already begun to roll down his face. "We were, but let's face it, Frankie, I've outgrown you. I'm sure you understand." Frankie's face turned beet red as he exclaimed, "You can't do this. We were a team." I watched him begin to storm away and back to my front door. As he yelled over his shoulder, "You'll regret this, Mort. It was both of us. Together." The door slammed. "Well, that was dramatic," I said to no one. Ciao. That night, I awoke with a start. I was having some horrendous dreams, though I can't remember the details. Now awake, I found that I was standing in my new studio, painting. The unfinished work before me showed horrid images that were difficult for the human mind to comprehend. Hulking beasts of otherworldly proportions as they crowded and swarmed an unnamed city. People stacked haphazardly on pyres as they burned in a green, hellish inferno. The more I looked into this accursed piece, the more I felt my sanity quickly escaping me. I thought I heard voices chanting around me in some long-forgotten tongue, whispering names I had not heard nor possessed the power to pronounce. Summoning every ounce of my mental fortitude and strength, I managed to tear my gaze from the canvas as I knocked it to the floor. That's when I saw behind it was another easel, and displayed on it was my painting of the murdered Elijah Quill, whose disproportionately crooked neck had upturned his face to look directly into my eyes. That one should not be there, I thought incredulously. It was hidden away. Come now, Mr. Mortimer. Such a beauty should never be kept hidden. That voice behind me. It was his voice. I spun around and saw the man, this Mr. Green, smiling at me. You, I said, as I pointed an accusing finger at him. You're what made me paint that nightmare, aren't you? Mr. Green looked at the unfinished painting on the floor, then back to me. That was our deal, Mort. One painting of my choosing, when I wish it. It would be in your best interest to uphold your end and finish it. No, I muttered. No, I will not bring that hell into being. The deal is off. You can take away this power. I've already gotten enough out of it anyway. Mr. Green sighed at me, but coolly said, I would have to agree. Thanks to your admirable work with Mr. Quill, I was taken aback by this. What do you mean by that? I demanded. Mr. Green's smile vanished. He sneered at me as he explained. I told you when we first met that I do not barter for souls. I don't have to, as your kind are always so eager to place it in the palm of my hand. For just the smallest taste of power and ultimate adoration, you burned yourself on the very pyre that you built. My jaw dropped open. No. But what could I say? What could I do? I go now, Mr. Green continued with a returning smile, now sinister as a dealer in a rigged game of poker, to prepare a place for you. And with those parting words, he faded from view, until all that was left were two floating orbs of emerald glaring at me, until they, too, were gone, alone again. In the darkness of my condo, I began to see visions, things that were not of my home, of a similar layout to the one I used to live in the apartment with Frankie. On a table, I saw a mostly empty bottle of Jack Daniels. I turned and saw on the edge of the bed was Frankie. He still lived in that tiny apartment, and here he was, drunk beyond all reason, with tears flooding his face and snot oozing from a sniffling nose. I saw in his hands he held that self-portrait, the first of my paintings after that deal. Damn you, Mort, he whimpered. He produced a pocket lighter and set the flame to the bottom corner of my self-portrait. No, Frankie, wait! I screamed at him, but he didn't appear to hear me. The flames ate up the canvas as they crept from the torso to the painted face. Damn you to hell, Mort, Frankie began to sob. The images of Frankie's room vanished, and my own dwellings had returned. This is unbelievable, I cried as the last image of Frankie disappeared. Standing here in the dark of my own vanity, I felt the effects of Frankie's actions with that damned painting. The fire started at my feet and quickly licked and raced up my legs, soon engulfing my body. I yelled, swatting at the flames, yet the inferno continued to spread all around me, and only me as I raised my hands to my face and screamed